You're ready? Yep.
I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Zion Park District Board to order for February 18th, 2021. Eric, can you take the roll call?
Commissioner Pye?
Here.
Commissioner Brown? Here. Commissioner Hartman?
Here.
Commissioner Rivers?
Here.
President McGarrett?
Here. And if I could ask everyone to stand for the pledge.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, Carol and Aaron. I will entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
I'll entertain a motion that we approve the minutes of tonight's meeting, dated February 18th, 2021. January. Oh, January. That's right. My fault. And also the minutes of the regular meeting of Board of Commissioners on 21st January 2021, and the minutes of the Personal Sub-Finance Committee meeting, January 21, 2021.
I'll second.
Any further discussion made? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, let's see. Are there any changes to the agenda today? Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as stated. Do I have a second? Any further discussion needed? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Carried. Do I have any comments from the commissioners? No. I would just like to say thank you for the opportunity to attend the virtual state conference. It was a great conference, and we still have access for a little bit of time, which is a nice thing. We have month access to it. There were some really good. Once I got my technical problems situated, it was a good conference. So yeah, no, that's okay. It was good. Okay. If nothing else, we will move on to. Is there anything from the attorneys? No. All right. We'll move on to the treasurer's report. We do have unpaid and paid bills to approve, and I will entertain a motion for that.
I entertain a motion that we approve the bills, total unpaid bills of 64825.46, the total paid bills of 230,829.20, for a grand total of 295,654.66.
Have a second? Any further discussion needed? Eric, can you take the roll?
Commissioner Rivers? Commissioner Hartman?
Aye.
Commissioner Brown? Aye. Commissioner Pye?
Aye.
President McGarrett?
Aye. We will move on to the director's report.
In addition to what my written report, and this was my written report, but I forgot to put it in the packet, was the budget session, so I did hand those out to you and paperwork that I gave you at the meeting here. So just to remind you that our first budget session is Thursday, March 11th. So that's the week before our March board meeting. We'll cover several budgets, smaller budgets that we have, the special fund, golf courses, we'll cover ranger, museum, the pool, and fees and charges at that meeting. Then our second budget meeting will be on March 18th, which is our regular meeting. Prior to the regular meeting, we'll talk about recreation general, special recreation, and construction fund. And then we'll do our full review and approval at the April 15th, Thursday, April 15th regular board meeting. So I just wanted to get everybody on the page that we're going to have those upcoming sooner than we think, right, Gay?
And they're earlier. 5:30.
I don't know, 5:30 is when we-
Yeah, no, they're earlier than our meeting.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
5:30. So that was the only thing that I had to, in addition to my,
And you gave us the bid.
yes, I did hand you the bid results from the patio furniture that was in the file.
All right, we will move on to new business, the capital plan presentation. Carol, welcome to Rural Set Hay. Thanks.
Because of, I don't know, where should I kind of face this way, or, I don't know.
Yeah, I think just to the side there's.
Oh, I'll be too close, make you uncomfortable. It's really nice to see you guys again, and I am glad we're moving a little bit past COVID, and I just want to thank you. Well, let's say we see the end in sight. It's been really a pleasure to work with you both on the strategic plan and the capital plan, so I do want to thank you for that. I learned more about the district and all the wonderful, both people and facilities and parks you have, and that's been interesting and a pleasure. So to talk a little bit about this, I think we're tag teaming this,
Yep.
Eric and I, and so we're pleased to talk to the board, as well as anyone that's watching from the community, about the Zion Park District's 2020 to 2024 capital plan. So for those at home, what is a capital plan? I just thought I'd briefly say it outlines the district's priorities regarding how they will improve, maintain, upgrade their physical assets, which could be anything from buildings, structures, and parks, as well as vehicles, mowers, implements, and various equipment that would be used to maintain those assets. So for the list of the current assets from the district, you guys own 825 acres of land on which are located 6 major facilities, 23 parks, and 6 miles of walking and biking trails. And that includes the Leisure Center, which has the administrative offices, and the Sports Arena Fitness Studio, Herman Park Community Center, Shiloh Community Center, which has the Senior Center and the Special Recreation Center, the 9-hole Shiloh Golf Course, the 18-hole Link-style Shepherd's Crook Golf Course, and Port Shiloh Outdoor Pool. Of your 23 parks, they range in size from 132 acres to half an acre. And you have your premier Shiloh Park, which is beautiful, to very environmentally unique parks like the Hosa Park and the Lakefront, to community parks. There's too many to list, but like Herman Park, and neighborhood parks like Elizabeth Park. The process that we went through started in 2019 with the community attitude and interest, or you called it interest and opinion survey. And then from that, we decided to move first into the 2020 strategic plan. Both those documents informed discussions that we had about various park district facilities and parks. And then in addition to the community input, we had input from the entire Board of Commissioners, the administrative team, and all full-time staff at the district. Those were great discussions, and those strategic discussions, again, included things that the group felt were necessary about the facilities and the parks. In order to identify the capital needs and document the condition of each facility and park, you guys also completed a facility needs assessment conducted with Camosi Construction, and so that is a great additional document that you have where you plan for needs, and you've got cost items to help you budget for inform this and moving forward. So the capital plan also, you should know, reflects the purpose, the mission, the vision, and the core values of the district, and so those were kept in mind as we were moving forward with this capital plan. And then we looked at 4 guidelines as we were working through the plan, kind of informed the capital plan. So one was that we wanted to be sure and promote the unique and special assets of the district that you offer this community. 2 was to find creative and efficient ways to maintain your current assets before considering purchase or expansion of new facilities. Always a smart idea. 3 was to keep the district's tax rate stable and program fees reasonable, very important, especially after what we're all going through with the pandemic. So that this means that capital projects that you are planning will be primarily funded with operating revenues and within the district's current debt service extension base. And that was purposefully a guideline in the decision made here. And then 4 was to plan creative means to recover from any of the funding challenges that were brought on by the pandemic. All the capital improvements are divided into 4 categories. So they'll either be falling under equipment, facilities, playgrounds / parks, or risk management / safety items. And then in terms of timing, it's pretty typical that a district would plan 5 years ahead and then reevaluate annually because things can change. So at that time, when you do that, and it'll be at the June board meeting, we decided. And so any capital projects that were completed for the year would be highlighted during the board meeting and also shared with the community so they'd be aware of that at a board meeting. And then all the projects on the list, they are divided up between the 5 years, but they're also categorized as high, medium, or lower priority. And that was based on either their need, urgency, opportunity, or available funding. Sometimes you might get a partner for something, available funding, and so that would change the priority based on that. Occasionally unplanned capital needs could come up, and that would be due again to opportunity or urgency. So there might be some modification to the plan, but basically the plan is laid out, and that will be something that now Eric will go through both the capital plan funding sources as well as the spreadsheet. And we're both happy to take questions when he's done.
All right, so if you are on page 8, there's the pie chart over on the right-hand side, which again, as Carol mentioned, we look at some of the part-to-pitch revenue sources that would be available to fund some of these capital improvements and purchases. Our total annual revenue is typically around $7 million. That's about the size of our budget, it's about $7 million. So property taxes usually account for about 56% of our total revenue, so a little over half. Obviously, golf operations is about 22%, is our next largest revenue source. And then as we spoke about earlier, tipping fees are a significant revenue source for us that's unrestricted, so we have the ability to use those for either operating expenses or save some annually for capital. Then recreation user fees, the Illinois corporate tax, replacement tax payments that we get, and rental fees, which also in that category is inclusive of the cell tower lease. So that's included in the rental fee category. Pool operations, obviously a smaller revenue source. Interest income, just 1% here. It's obviously been declining in the past few years, but I think that could probably eventually move up for us as short-term interest rates move up. And then, other small miscellaneous income sources, really relatively material for us. But again, the above does not include our debt service extension base, which is really bond issuance proceeds. We can consider that to be really more borrowing and debt versus a annual revenue source. So that's not shown in the graph here. But it's obviously an important piece for us to be able to fund a lot of these projects, how we use the debt service extension base. So on the next page that shows all the numbers, this we put together was really a collaboration of all staff to put together these numbers. So for example, Kay provided numbers on recreation, whether it would be some fitness equipment that was going to be needed and laying out the repurchase of fitness equipment over the years. Also, Kay keeps track of the AEDs and some of the safety supplies. Todd contributed with the maintenance aspect as far as trucks and mowers and lifts and everything like that. So Alan contributed numbers for the golf operation. So this is really a collaboration of all of those numbers. Behind this is the top summary sheet, but we have really 10 pages of detail that lists out all of the various categories and items individually that make up this summary page here. So as Carol mentioned, it's really based on, at this point, we're kind of still in like the high priority, immediate need phase, I would say, where next year, some of the capital needs are some of the high priority stuff, and that's obviously what we've been doing recently, right? With some of the roof replacements, the HVAC work, the lighting. A lot of those are the higher priority stuff that we've been able to accomplish. You can see in the first column in the 2020-2021, that $1 million is pretty much everything that we have done this year. The majority of it obviously would be the leisure center roof replacement, would be almost half, and then another large percentage of that would be the patio construction at Shepherd's Crook. But other than that, we're able to, and we're always conscious as well, I think, as to what the community wants and what the community wants to see. So we are, rehabbing some parks and things like that along the way, along with knocking out some of these immediate needs like roofs. Now also, as Carol mentioned, these needs and these priorities will shift. So next year, the next column in the 2021-22 budget, or the list there is really what we're budgeting for next year. So we're really looking at $955,000 of capital improvements that we really have in the budgets right now for next year. And we're looking at the various funding sources as we go through the budgets to make sure that we do have the revenue to be able to make those investments. Now, when you start to get out to like 22, 23 and beyond, like the prior 3 years, as Carol mentioned, those shift based on what some of the needs are, if there's an immediacy as far as if something breaks, what other opportunities there are. But one of the things I wanted to point out there in the second column in the green, you'll see park amenities under playgrounds, $258,000. So $250,000 of that is, a potential renovation of Shiloh Park. And then again, in the second column over is the other $250,000. So just kind of a preliminary planning estimate of about $500 million to really renovate Shiloh Park and make it, something pretty special for the community.
500,000.
500,000.
I was like, 500 million?
500 million would be really cool. But 500,000 really done it in 2 phases. We'd love to be able to do the full 500,000 in one shot, but again, there's so many other needs that just need to be addressed.
Really just evaluating,
Yep.
how to do that most effectively to, people to see the work that we're doing. It's hard to see the work we're doing when you put a roof on the building. It really is important for all of the operation, for the activities that happen in the building, but it's not pretty, something you can see. So
Right.
we're trying to balance that also.
I have a question. It looks like every year you are going to spend more money.
Well, when you start to get out, Jess, into when you're looking at 2026 and it's like 2.1 million, I would probably note that 2026 is like 2026 and beyond. So it could be at the 5-year point or the 10-year point. It's just basically a window that's 5 years or more. So, as we start to shift closer to those years, probably somewhere around $1 million or so is really the right number that we have. But, we do have some flexibility, having low debt to where we could issue a bond if we wanted to move some things up. But next year's number is obviously very attainable at the $955,000. That's without any bond issuance because we issued a 2-year bond last year.
But Eric, how do you get these numbers from that far out? I mean, we don't even know what the economy's going to be like
Yeah,
next year.
so what we do
So
is,
how do you pull these numbers from, from 2023? We really don't know.
yeah, so this is
So
really, it's really a list of, so for example, if I was working with Todd on the maintenance side, he would say, I have, all of these mowers and all of these trucks, and this one probably has about 3 years of useful life left. And this mower could probably go another 7,
Okay. I
right?
got
So It's really, when Todd gave me his list, he said I would expect to replace this vehicle in 2 years from
Well,
now.
that makes sense. 'Cause
Right.
I was looking at the numbers, I'm like, well, how can you go that far out? Because we don't even know what the economy's gonna look like next year.
No, right.
So, I mean, but now I got it. Now
Yeah,
I
so
got it.
We're based on the need and
Right.
how we think we can
Maneuver.
spread those needs out over
Right.
that period of time.
Okay.
But yeah, it probably will
Fluctuate either way.
move and change
Yeah.
over the years. So
Okay.
each year we'll review and
I like
look at how it's going to go forward.
I got it now.
So hopefully now that we have, and again, we have all the detail behind it, every single one of these numbers, it just really allows us to be proactive versus reactive going forward and planning for some of these things versus having to react to a roof that's leaking.
Got it.
Yeah.
Makes sense now.
Good spot to be in, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's much better to
Yeah.
have this plan in place. It's, both of these plans, I mean, I think that that's really the bottom line here is that we have now really looked at and have laid things out so that we don't have to be reactive. We don't have to be thinking that, we need a roof on the leisure center, but it's going to take us 6 years to get there, even though it's an immediate need. Like, we've done the work now to get to this point where financially we can do it, and we have a plan that makes sense and that evaluates the assets that we have and make sure that we maintain them so that going forward, it's not as difficult as it was when we started this process, which we really didn't have much of anything figured out. We had to lay out this path. So,
Okay.
I really want to say thanks to Carol for working with us on this. It was an interesting year to do this plan. We had some preliminary stuff that was in place, which was helpful. We had people who were very flexible and did some Zoom calls and things that, are not the best way to make those plans, but they worked. And, I think we're in a really great place from where we were 3 or 4 years ago. And
For
just
sure.
thinking that we got a lot of delayed maintenance that we got to take care of.
Well, this is good because it's short and it's to the point, and everything you need to know is in like 9 pages. So
Yeah, thank
it
you
lays
for
it out
putting
pretty
this
good.
And I think the Camosi study is also really important because you have figures to that. And I think they went facility by facility and park by park. And so you have numbers and that informs the capital plan as well. And I think when you look back in terms of the timing of this, certainly anyone doing a strategic or a capital plan in the middle of COVID was a little challenging, just navigating how to do that. But think about the groups that actually just finished it like a year before COVID started. They actually, in my opinion, should go back and redo it because so much has changed. So yeah, we had to make a few accommodations to just, physically how to get it done. I think it really now, it's fully informed by the pandemic, and so it isn't like, well, this is no good because we didn't know this was going to happen. So the timing actually worked out really good for you guys. And I think it also serves to energize people because there's a lot not to be happy about that, it hasn't been easy for anybody. Some harder than others, but I think it served as a source of some motivation for, hopefully for the board, but I know also for the staff as well.
Anybody have any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Presenting that and the beautiful books.
It was nice
More than
to,
welcome to stay, but
sorry, I have a huge training tomorrow, 6 hours on Zoom.
Oh, boy, on a Friday.
This is the third and final Friday with the same company, so has been a powering through Zoom, so.
thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, Carol.
Thank you.
And good luck for the elections. I'm on the board too, but I'm running unopposed. So, always
So
nice.
is Jesse.
Oh, good, good, Jesse. Thank you, and thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You guys have a good
See
day.
you later.
Bye, Carol.
Take care.
All right, we will move on to item number 9, which is the NRPA account. Annual
we have the Premier package we've had, the price has not changed. You know, we do have connections to a very robust organization with the National Recreation and Park Association. There's a lot of feedback that they bring to us, but there's also a lot of work that they do on our behalf with Parks and Recreation in the, you know, national scene. So I think that it's really a win-win situation for us to be supportive of them and the work that they're doing on our behalf at federal level, but also, you know, what they bring to our organization with the resources that they bring to us. So I think I would just recommend that we continue with our membership. Any questions?
If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion to approve the NRPA annual membership dues for $875.
So moved.
Any further discussion needed? Eric? can you pull
Commissioner Rivers,
the- Aye.
Commissioner Hartman,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Pye,
Aye.
President Rivera.
Aye. Moving on to number 10, resolution number 882, it's on 55, on your packet, Mr.
This is the resolution to authorize the transfer funds from the general fund to the police fund. We did budget for this, and as I stated in my report to you, even though we had the CARES Act funding that went into the police budget for this year, we're going to go ahead and do this transfer now, and then the police department budget with the increase that we did in the levy will actually be able to fund itself next year. And that will give us another year to see how things are going to go move forward. And we probably will have to do support from the general fund to the police fund as we move forward. Hopefully it won't be at this level, it will be about half this much. But for next year, we'll have to put anything from general in once we take care of this and the CARES Act funding. So it makes sense to just go ahead and do this since it's already been budgeted, and we'll make that goal for another year.
Any questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for resolution 882.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 882, a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds of the Zion Park District from the general fund to the police fund in the amount of $40,000.
I'll second it.
Okay, Eric?
Commissioner Pye,
Aye.
Commissioner Rivers,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman,
Aye.
President Rivera.
Aye. Okay, moving on to item number 11, the bid number SC 2021-01 patio furniture, which Marilyn gave us. Okay?
Yeah, I gave you the bid results sheet with the paperwork that I gave you. In the packet was the bid documents.
Start on bid.
So that you can see what it is that we're doing out there, laid out a plan for furniture, and researched several brands of outdoor patio furniture and decided on a brand so that we could, you know, make a decision about what we wanted to get. Instead of comparing apples and oranges in a bid, we just made a decision on what we have to put out there on the patios for the tropical furniture was what we chose. So we had 3 bidders, which was good. We were happy to have 3 different companies bidding the furniture. Staff recommends accepting the bid for the tropical and outdoor patio furniture for Williams All Season Company. They are located in Highland Park, so not too far away. And their bid was the low bid at $49,524.65. If you look at the map and the layout of the brand new patios, I think it really takes care of all the needs that we have.
Were all 3 of them comparable in quality
It was all the same, we very specifically,
Oh, the same.
it was all the same
Wow.
manufacturer, yeah.
Okay.
That's why we did that, that's when we decided, we did the research to look at what furniture was, it
All the same.
was all the same. Oh, very, we bid it out very specifically to the pieces that we want. So,
No.
so any other questions? I do have some, pictures of the furniture I can show you, but, you would have that.
Yeah, it's really,
Yeah, Marilyn has pictures.
really different.
Oh, have you seen it? No.
I kind of seen it, but I'd have to bring a shovel out there now if I.
Yes, it is very, very squishy. You can't really see anything.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it looks nice.
It, yeah, it's really very sharp, and I think it will meet the needs for a variety of golfers who are there. I think it will stay in a very comfortable place for them to, gather after their rounds. The ladies will, I'm sure, really enjoy their space out there. And if we can do some special events that we would think is beautiful. Really making use of the investment that we've made with that.
Then I will entertain a motion to approve the bid number SC 202101. With the staff recommending the Triple Tone outdoor patio furniture from Williams All Season Company in the amount of $49,524.65.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion here? Eric?
Commissioner Pye,
Aye.
Commissioner Rivers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hartman,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
President O'Gara.
Aye. Okay, item number 12. Bid number 212101 for the HVAC.
Right, so yesterday we were going to open bids, right? Yesterday, yes. And the company that we were getting good specifications, talking with them about the unit we needed for the space, which is the small gym, they discovered that there was an error in some of the documentation from
The manufacturer.
training manufacturing in the specifications so that the unit that we had in the bid probably would not keep the whole space together. So that was a problem. So we told the bidders that we had, who had come to the pre-bid meeting and who had given us a bid proposal, that we were going to rebid it next month. So there's no action that we need to take. We're going to rebid with the proper information and so no action needed.
We'll move on to number 13, the full modified schedule. These are the on May 62nd.
So we did make some changes. So Kay has been doing a lot of work on what happened last summer with pools that did open at park districts and the information that has been shared amongst park district staff. One of the things I think that you guys know is, that we collaborate and cooperate a lot with information in the park district setting. And so she has had a lot of conversations with, and then doing all the research on phase 4, what is it going to look like? We don't really still know what it's going to look like, but we're operating on what happened last year and how they set those standards for pool openings. And so we hope that we have a pretty good idea of, how things are going to be limited with numbers. And so we're really proposing a modified pool schedule. It's going to be different than it has been summers before, because we will probably still have measures measures in place that will just let us open the doors and let in as many people as can come into the facility. So in that case, we are going to have to make some changes to the fees for programming the pool space. A couple of the things, the stuff that's in red is the change from what we had previously for pricing. So the 2 and 3-year-olds would stay the same. The seniors would go up, and actually it's not in red, it should be from $2 to $4.
Well, remember in 2020, we changed it from 2 to 4, and then we're now in 21,
Yeah,
so
we didn't open in
20.
20. So we actually last February, we did some changes to pool fees. So that's what that's referencing. The individual 1 to 6 timeframe, we're not going to offer that this year because we're just not going to be able to make that work financially with the number of people we'll probably be allowed to have in the pool. There's just no way to do that. So we've modified that down to just a 3 to 6 swim. And the price on that has gone up $1 or a couple dollars, depending on residency, to come into the pool. But we won't have that 1 to 6 time frame. It's just not possible to do that for a limited number. Will not offer season passes. They have been really very little activity in passes anyway, and with capacity limits, that doesn't work very well. So it's better to just take those off the table. We're going to increase lessons because capacity limits on lessons, we're going to have a small number in each group for swimming lessons. So that's the changes there. And then the pool and slide rental, with the increase in minimum wage and the inability to change the number of guards we have to have in our facility when we have a rent. There's no way to change that. It's always got to be the same number of people because of the way the pool is laid out. So really, the price of that is just going up because the cost of it is just going up. We can't supplement a pool rental, a private pool rental. We're just not going to do that. We have to be able to make up what it costs us. So that's really where we're at there. There's very little revenue that is coming from that. And then the pool party packages we used to do for groups of 10, where you just bring your child and your friends, and you do a party package with pizza and pop and stuff. You know, concessions is another area. We're just not going to open concessions. You know, it's just not going to work very well. So we're not going to have party packages. And as you know, the recreation department has always had to put support into the pool operation in order to make it whole. It's not a self-sustaining operation. We subsidize it. So that number is $75,000. It's a little less than what we had done in 2019. It's less than what we had budgeted for 2020, when we never opened. But it's still pretty substantial subsidy to have a pool there. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to move forward based on whatever the state gives us for guidance on the pool openings. Last summer, there was no public swims event allowed. So it was mainly people were just doing swimming lessons. And lap swimming. So we're hoping that there will be possibility of a little bit more with limited capacity. We will be able to have open swim.
They also made people make reservations last year.
So we're hoping it's a little bit more open than it was last year. I guess, because we're moving into this new we just feel like this is the most effective way to try and open doors for the community, which we would like to try and do this summer if it's a possibility. We may come to the point where they give us the guidance and it's like, okay, we have to evaluate whether it really is worth opening or not. If we can't have, if we only have so many lessons, it may not be worth putting all the resources we have to put into opening the jewel then. But this is kind of our layout right now.
Any questions? I'll make a motion to approve the proposed rates for 2021 as stated for the Shrine Pool.
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Eric?
Commissioner Hartnett,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Rivers,
Aye.
Commissioner Pai,
Aye.
President McGarrett.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
And now, I will just entertain a motion to go into executive session. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of the board discussing setting price for sale, lease of the real estate pursuant to section 2C6.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?